Welcome to the Magic and the Music. I'm Jen. Today we are going to share with you what our experience was like wearing face masks in the summer in Florida at Disney World for 11 days. What was it really like and what did we learn from our experience? Stick around. Hey there, folks. Welcome back to the Magic in the Music. So today we have kind of a quick discussion, reflection episode, and we're going to be talking about what it was really like to go on that trip and kind of do a follow-up as far as what we learned about wearing masks in the theme parks. And hopefully you can learn something that is helpful to you. The first question that we get asked about wearing the masks in the theme parks is, what was it really like? What did it really feel like? Well, overall, it's hot. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It's really, really, really hot to wear the face mask in the theme parks. So, I mean, that's the truth. There's no way around that. And, if you are not comfortable being in the theme parks in the summer in the heat in Florida, you're definitely not going to be comfortable being there with masks on. So that's a really important factor when you're making a decision as to whether to travel. Could you do it without the mask? If the answer is, I'm not sure, then adding the mask is probably not going to be a great thing for you. So another question that we get asked a lot is, how did our children do wearing the masks? They had absolutely no problem wearing the mask the whole time. And we really chalk that up to the expectations that we set ahead of time. We made it really, really clear that you are going to be wearing a mask and this is part of, the Disney trip. It's not negotiable. So don't bother asking, don't bother trying to get out of it. And, we don't even suggest those things. The bottom line is, if the kid sees you completely accepting the mask wearing and just without complaint, without fidgeting, messing with your mask, it's just, this is what we're doing, then they're much more likely to just embrace it as simply what we have to do. If I did see some parents who were fidgeting with their masks and messing around, and then, not surprisingly, you'd see their kids doing the exact same thing. So remember, as a parent, you got to set the example. Really, really important. Another question we get is, did you ever feel like you had to take your mask off? Like, I think people are afraid they're going to get there and they're going to be in the moment and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. I have to take this mask off. No, I never felt that. I never felt a moment like that. And nobody in our party ever had a moment like that. Now, that's not to say that nobody ever does. Probably some people do. But, there were a few moments here and there where you might think, ugh, I'm really hot. Like if you're in the sun waiting outside for something and you're like, man, it is really hot right now. Oh, I wish I could take my mask off. But you know what? One, that's not going to take away the feeling of being in this oppressive heat. It's still there. And two, usually you just get distracted by something else and you're like, oh, it's really hot. I wish I could take my mask off. Oh, whoa, look at that. That's really cool. Hey, look at that character cavalcade. And then you pay attention to that. And then all of a sudden you've forgotten about the mask. No big deal. A lot of people worry about their glasses or sunglasses fogging up while they wear the mask. And to that, I would say it was actually much simpler than I thought. I thought this would be an issue. But what we found was, if we were inside, say we'd eaten breakfast in our resort, indoors, like in our room, and then when we first step outside, there would be like an instant steam, right, in our sunglasses. They'd fog up. And then I worried, oh no, this is going to be a problem the whole time. But it's not, because it takes a few minutes for the sunglasses to kind of adjust to the temperature of the outdoors. And then once they really kind of adjust to, and they're warmer, like more like the temperature of the air, then that steam goes away. But I think you'll find that if you're indoors for a length of time, then you step outside, it'll probably steam up immediately, but within a minute or two, we found that just completely went away and then we didn't have to think about it again. Next question. Were you excessively warm or sweaty? Yeah, but that's just Florida in the summer. It's going to be that way no matter what you do. Yes, there will be moments where you're stuck in a sunny spot and the sun comes out and it's really hot and you can feel a bead of sweat dripping down inside your mask and it's just like, ooh, okay, well, you just deal with it and it doesn't last very long and usually you get distracted by something else. But yeah, if that sounds horrible to you, then maybe this isn't the time to go. But if that seems like a sacrifice you're willing to make, then yeah. Those of you who work out or have done things that require endurance or pushing yourself, which hopefully all of you have, you understand what it is to to push yourself through some discomfort. Next question is, did it affect your breathing? So I am the one in the family who has mild asthma, usually kind of an exercise-induced asthma, or if there are like a lot of airborne pollutants, that can be a bit of an asthma trigger. I don't use an inhaler often, maybe 2 times a year, so it's not a real severe medical situation, but it's something I just need to be aware of. I actually preferred wearing the mask. So I thought that having the mask on made it a lot more comfortable for me, because any of those larger particles of airborne pollutants were actually kind of filtered out, and I didn't really breathe those in. And I felt that my asthma situation and my airway and my kind of respiratory tract actually felt healthier and better when I was wearing a mask daily. And so I thought overall it just kept me healthier and feeling better. Another quick tip I want to add in is that though no one in our party had this issue, I have heard that if you become uncomfortable while wearing the mask, to close your mouth and breathe through your nose, and that's actually a little tip that helps people feel a little bit more comfortable when they start to feel a little claustrophobic or whatever. Nobody in our party had issues with that, but that's something that you could try if you're feeling uncomfortable. What makes a comfortable mask? Well, I think a lot of people have the perception that a comfortable mask is one that's very lightweight and thin and breathable. But I beg to differ, because a very thin and breathable mask is actually not doing anything. So you actually need something that has some ability to filter out the air. And then secondly, you actually want something that has some structure to it and some shape, because what we found is that a flimsy mask would lay across your nose or your mouth, or if you had one that was tight and that it was pressing on your nose or mouth, that was really an uncomfortable thing. So we worked really hard to find a mask pattern that would not do those things to us, so we would be really a lot more comfortable. So we have a pattern, and we will actually put a link up here. We'll probably put that later in the video, that shows the mask that we wore. Obviously there are other styles that might work for you, but this one worked really, really well for us, and we definitely liked it. And it had some structure, and it kept things away from our nose and mouth. And so then we didn't have any rubbing, no breakouts, nothing uncomfortable, and you didn't feel like you needed to fiddle and mess around with it. Next question, how many masks should I bring if I do take a trip to Disney World? So a lot of people recommend online, I've seen a lot of people recommending having 2-3 masks for a day. We were prepared to have 2 per day, and we brought a lot, and we had many that we could wash, but we were surprised to discover that we only needed 1 per day. And I really attribute that to having masks that fit us really, really well and were very comfortable and did not press up against our nose or mouths. So we were shocked. We really thought we would need multiple masks, but they held up. They didn't get dirty because they weren't in contact with our mouths or, the underneath part of our nose. And they dried out just fine. They retained their shape when they dried. So it was not a problem. I think if you had something that was up against your lips or your nose, the under part of your nose, I think that would be when you would probably need to have multiple masks, because those would probably get dirty and smelly and stuff like that. But we just didn't have that issue at all. So we found we could do 1 per day. On the subject of masks, the fit really, really matters. You have to find a mask that fits you really, really well. And so I highly recommend that you find a mask style that you like and fits you, and wear it for progressively longer periods of time. So you want to train yourself. Mask wearing is a skill that you will get used to doing. Just like a runner, you want to train yourself and prepare yourself for it. How do you know if a mask fits properly? Well, there's a really obvious thing, and it's that you'll forget that you're wearing it. If it fits you properly, you don't need to touch it. You very rarely would ever need to touch the mask. It needs to be flat against your cheeks. It needs to come up underneath your chin. It needs to have a good fit here. So for a lot of people, that would mean some kind of wire or some kind of insert. Most people will need that. And it also needs to firmly fit you. It can't be loose or hanging open on your face. It needs to be firmly against you. We prefer a style where it goes around the head, and because it really fits you firmly and it doesn't wiggle around when you move. So if you find yourself adjusting or pulling it up or whatever the case may be, it doesn't fit. and you need to move on to another style or find a way to modify it so that it does fit you better. So that's a really, really important. If you take one thing away from this video, it's that your mask needs to fit you, and if you have to touch it, it doesn't fit. Makeup. So do I recommend wearing makeup at all at Disney this time of year? Well, I still wear makeup. I still put it on. I know that it's going to rub off. Basically, all the areas where my mask contacts my face, I don't really have it rub off here, but I do get it on the bridge of my nose and here. I get lines, of foundation where it's like rubbed off on the mask. But that also tells me that I have a mask that fits. It's a nice snug fit on my body, and so that's a really good thing. For other makeup, it's kind of up to you. It's personal choice. I like to use like a long-wearing lipstick, the kind that goes on and doesn't come off on your lips. And so I wear that style, and it never rubs off on my masks at all. So if you do want to wear lipstick underneath your mask, I would recommend one of those kind of long wear ones where you put it on and it's on for like a 24-hour, 16 or 24-hour kind of thing. Because otherwise you're going to have probably lipstick in your mask to some extent, even if it fits well. So what mask do we recommend? We actually have a tutorial of a pattern that we've worked on and kind of designed. So I'm going to put the link up here so that you guys can get that tutorial if you are interested, if you do sew, or maybe somebody you know could sew for you. And so, please check that out. We've had a lot of really wonderful feedback of individuals and even some community groups and things that have used that pattern. And they've had a lot of success with it, and we've had a lot of great success. We refined it a lot to get to that pattern, and we are going to show you some of the additional refinements that we added today. So we added an additional insert. If you watched our previous mask tutorial, you saw that we created a 2-layer cotton mask that had a pocket so that you could slide something else inside it. We never really discussed what we used in that insert, but I am going to show you that now. We actually took a 3M 1500 air filter that you would put into your furnace in your house, and we pulled the filter media outside of it, and it came out in kind of this accordion configuration, and we had to sort of flatten it out. So then I created, using our mask pattern, I actually laid the pattern down, and I just traced a smaller shape, maybe about 3/4 of an inch inside of it, all the way around, and it will depend on the size mask that you're using, which size you need. Then I would I would fold the filter media on itself, and it's basically like a thick material. It's just like fabric, but thicker. And so then you would fold it on itself and then cut out the pattern, and then you can take now you have the filter media cut out in the shape, go ahead and sew along the long round front piece. And you just have to sew right there, and then you can kind of turn it inside out a little bit, and then you're going to have this nice shape, and it has some more rigidity to it, so you can actually put that inside of the mask. I find it helpful to take the top piece of it and fold it down on itself so that you can fit it through the side openings. Then I'll reach my fingers inside, and then I'll flip it back up into position. And you'll find that it gives it this nice shape. It holds its shape really well. And then I usually take my finger and kind of run down from the inside. I push the center seam and kind of flatten it down. Usually I do that when I put the mask on, just to make sure that everything is pulled away from the end of my nose and my mouth, and it makes it a lot more comfortable to wear for a longer period of time. We have found that we can wash the masks with this filter insert inside of it. And if you're wondering where we got the idea for that particular filter insert, it was from an article that talked about different performance of different handmade or fabric masks. And they actually found that one with this particular 1500 filter insert performed the best. So that's why we chose that. And we felt that that was a reasonable level of performance, balancing out with comfort. We never had any problem getting enough air and feeling comfortable breathing, but we feel like it's at least doing something to filter out some of the bad stuff we don't want to breathe. Sometimes when you wash them, they will scoot around. You'll notice that they shift, and you may have to put them back into position, but still, this was a really great addition that really, we think, improved the masks a lot. The second change that we've made since our initial video is that we showed our masks with like a grosgrain ribbon that we use to tie them around your head. And we still have the loop design where you can thread them through, and you have the flexibility of changing them to either an ear loop style or the threading around your head. And we've actually modified and converted several of our masks for different needs, different situations. So we got a 1/2-inch elastic. I ordered this on Amazon, and I can include a link in the description. And we ordered this 1/2-inch elastic that actually has a silicone bead on it. So there's like a line that's sticky and just grippy, I guess you could say. That has been awesome, in particular for my son. My daughter and I often wear our hair in ponytails since we've been wearing masks, and so that top strap will be stopped by our ponytail and it won't move. But our son, he was having a problem of it sliding down his head. So we found that with this grippy material, he can just put it on and it just stays where you leave it. So that was a great adjustment that has really made the mask more functional and more comfortable for us. One other feature about the elastic that we think has really improved the function of the masks is the fact that because they are stretchy, and it holds it firmly against your face, but if you need to pull the mask away to put a straw from a water bottle up underneath it, or to slip a snack in your mouth, or whatever it is that you need to do, you can do that. And so it's not fixed onto you. It has some flexibility, so you can grab it, pull it away, and then put the straw up in your mouth, take a drink, and then just put it right back. So it's really great because you can do that without really having to remove your mask. Yes, it's a little bit off your face, but it's not completely off. So that worked out really well for us too. If you want to see a little bit more of modeling of the mask style that we recommend, that we like to use, I would recommend our video on the truth about Disney World after reopening, and I will link that one here. And that one actually shows you, there's a particular moment in the video, which I can show here, what timestamp to go to, and I demonstrate with my husband kind of like how the mask should fit and how the mask kind of works. So that's another place you can get a little more information. What were the biggest challenges about wearing the masks at Disney World? I would say for us as a family, the biggest challenge was that we could not allow our kids to just slowly snack throughout the day. Another negative about wearing the mask is it's a lot more difficult to hear each other. I have a little bit of hearing damage, and so it's harder for me. I do rely on reading lips a little bit, and so that was hard. I had to work a lot harder to hear people. You felt like you had to kind of yell at each other, so that's a little bit of a challenge, and it is what it is. We just have to work around it. Are there any advantages to wearing the mask in the theme parks? I would say yes, for sure. First of all, mask wearing is a skill that you're going to need to practice. Obviously, this is going to be with us for a while, well into 2021. We'll see how long it lasts, but we're going to all need to be able to do this. So this was a really great opportunity to kind of have a mask wearing boot camp that like taught us all really quickly how to do it. Once you're used to it and you have a mask that fits you really well, you should forget you're wearing it. We honestly had moments where we went back to our hotel room and we forgot, like my kids left the mask on or I left the mask on, and we're like settling in for the evening, and I walk past a mirror and I'm like, oh, I'm still wearing a mask? I've been wearing a mask for the last 15 minutes? Like, you just forget. And so that's how you know that you're developing your skills to wear a mask and you're acclimating and you have a mask that fits you, is you just completely forget you even have it on. Another thing that's great about masks is that they prevent you from touching your face, which is really good, not just for preventing spread of disease, but I actually had the clearest skin I'd had in a long time because I couldn't scratch at my face or pick or do anything at all. Another thing I liked is that I liked that masks prevented me from having as much skin exposure. I have a lot of freckles. I have, dark spots, age spots, and freckles and all kinds of things. And usually when I come back from Disney, I have a giant crop of new freckles. Well, I didn't get that this time, so that was actually great. Masks can also be a really cute fashion statement. We saw some really fun ones, so I know we got kind of creative and had some fun with our masks as well. And then, as I mentioned before, another advantage for me is that it cut down on the amount of triggers I could have for my asthma, and so that just made me feel more comfortable, and I felt like my respiratory health was actually better wearing a mask. Finally, was it worth it to wear masks in the heat like that for a Disney trip? Well, for us, the answer was yes. Going on this trip was really important to us and we really wanted to make it work, but we only wanted to do it if we could do it with a reasonable degree of safety. And safety was more important to us than anything else. And so even if it had been really quite uncomfortable, I think we would have been willing to tolerate it just to get to have this experience together as a family. Would you do it again? I would do it again. I don't want to do it every day though. I don't want to wake up every single morning and be out in the heat in a mask. And I have to say, to the cast members who do work outdoors and wear the masks and face shields, my heart goes out to you because that is really, really tiring. It takes a lot of work to stay hydrated. Having a mask on, you have to work a lot harder to make sure that you're drinking enough water because it's not convenient to just pick up your water bottle and chug some water. You have to really be deliberate about that. Well, that's it for us today from the Magic in the Music. Hope you found this video helpful. If you liked it, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so that you know when we have brand new content coming out. We hope you have a wonderful weekend, and remember, there's magic in the music. Bye!